Hello, I'm Danielle Chauvet, and I'm your knitting coach. I'm the owner of Knitting Nicely, and today we're going to learn how to make this cute little washcloth. Now, if you're a beginning knitter, I'm very excited for you, especially if you've decided to knit with one of your children, because with that bonding experience, there's nothing like learning together and making a very close relationship with your children this way. So this is what we'll be knitting. This is a cute little washcloth. It's very geared towards beginners because it's all one stitch. This is all knit stitch. It creates a fabric called garter stitch. It looks the same on the front as it does on the back. But we'll be also adding some nice little edgings that are easy to do but create a nice little finished look to our washcloth. And you'll also learn a cool little trick to make it so that your edges look nice with this little chain on the edge. Okay, so let's talk about what kind of yarns to use and what kind of needles to use, because you'll need to purchase some needles and you'll need to purchase some yarn for this project. Okay, so let's talk about needles first. When you go to the store and start looking at knitting needles, there's lots and lots of sizes. So I just want you to focus on just a few sizes. This project you'll be using size 8 knitting needles, but I want to talk a little bit about those sizes. So a knitting needle has lots of different sizes, and one size, this would be a size 3. So the larger the number, then the larger the circumference of the needle. This is a very small needle, so it's size 3. If I was to go up a few sizes, and I could show you needle size 7. This is a size 7 needle. Okay, it's a little bit thicker, and it can be used for knitting with thicker needles. A size 3 needle, you would use a very thin yarn like this. For a size 7 needle, you would use a slightly thicker yarn like this. And if you wanted to use really, really thick yarn, you would go with a size 10 or maybe a size 11 knitting needle. And these are all US sizes. Now, if you do not live in the US, say you live in the UK, size 8, which is the kind that you should be using, size US 8 for this project, that would be the same thing as 5 millimeters. That's 5 mm. So you'll need to look for a needle that says 5 millimeters on it. Okay, so that's the needle that you'll need to purchase. And I would recommend finding a wooden needle, but if you can't find any wooden ones, then a metal one would be fine, such as this type of metal, okay? And as far as whether you need circular, this would be circular needle with a cable in the middle, or if you want to use straight knitting needles, such as these, it's really up to you. For this pattern, it doesn't matter, whichever one you feel you would be most comfortable using. Okay, so that's your knitting needles. Now let's talk about yarn. For a washcloth that's going to be going on your face and your skin, you're going to be wanting to use something that's soft and probably natural. You could use a synthetic yarn, but I would not recommend it because it does not absorb water in the same way that a natural yarn like cotton will. I always recommend using cotton when I'm doing either a washcloth or a dishcloth because number one, it can get really, really hot and it won't break down in the way, it won't melt. If you use acrylic, sometimes acrylic can melt if it gets too hot, but cotton will not melt. So you could actually use it for hot pads or if you're washing dishes with really, really hot water and you'll have no problems. Cotton also absorbs water really well. And that way you can get a nice, bucket of water into your washcloth as you are washing your face and your skin. It also is very soft. There's lots of different kinds of cotton. I recommend getting a softer one since you'll be using as a washcloth for your skin. And for the size of the yarns come in different sizes as well. Make sure you find one that is a size 4. You can look on the label of your yarn and you'll see all these numbers, okay? And what you're going to look for is this little ball of yarn right here. It's like a little ball and it usually has a number on it. I would recommend using a size 4 yarn for this project, okay? that would be a medium size yarn. All right, so now you're ready. You have the needle size US 8 or 5 millimeters, and you have the correct kind of yarn. You would want to use a cotton yarn with size 4 medium yarn. Okay, let's go. We're ready to start making our cast on. That's how you get the stitches onto your needle and start doing your first few stitches. How exciting! I'll see you over at my knitting station.